Hey guys, welcome back to VG Coders, and today we'll be learning about retrieving data from databases. So in our last video, we added the data entered by the user into the database. But today we'll learn how to retrieve that into the front end. So to do that, we have a database with our names and ages. Now we need to create a variable. Here, and you have to do it in the else block. So users equal to names dot query dot all, and here you don't specify the database name, but you specify the class name which you created as your DB model. So this gets all the records in the database which are in the class names. Now we have our users, but to give that into the front end, we need to use users equal to users. So now we could access this variable in our front end. In our front end, we could use a div, and in the div, we could use a paragraph tag. And for this, we need to use a language called Jinja 2, which is inbuilt in Flask. So to use that, you use these curly braces and you put a percentage symbol inside it. Then you type in if, or you could type in any like for or something. So as of now, we're going to use the first statement. So for user in users, because users is a list and we need each element in the list, we create the paragraph inside the div. So the paragraph is gonna give user dot name. So it's gonna show the user's name. So there are two different syntaxes for Jinja 2. One is when you're making a condition and you use the curly brace and the percentage. But when you're representing data, you use two curly braces. And now you need to end the first statement, which you don't do in Python, but you need to do that in Jinja 2. So you use the end first statement. Now this is gonna make a div statement with all the users' names inside of it. But let's use an age too. And to make this better organized, let's add a break in between. Now let's go back to our front end, reload, and you can see we get all our users' details in here. But it isn't that organized. So to make this a better organized, we can make a table. So we make a table, and the first table row is gonna have three datas, which are name, and you can copy this multiple times. Name, actually let's use another called ID, name, and age. Now this is the first table row. Now let's change our table tag before the div ends. Now let's add another table row. So for users, we need to add a table row, and we could end it before the first statement. Now inside the table row, we could use the table data, and according to the template we just made, the first one is going to be ID, the second one's going to be name. We need to change the tags to TD, and the third one's going to be age. And we don't need the break, so we can delete the break. Let's reload this, and we have a better organized table. So you can make some improvements to the table by using CSS, but you don't need to do that since you're only using this as your test. But if you are making a real world application, you need to make this look a bit more neat. And let's test this out again. So I'm gonna fill in these details again, and it adds a record to your table. So that's how you retrieve data into the front end, and you can even retrieve data into your Python. For example, so you can print users. Now it's gonna print the users object in the terminal. So this is the object. As you can see, it shows names1, names2, names3, names4. That's because it takes the names class, and it adds the ID to the class. To retrieve elements inside of the users variable, you need to use a for statement. So you do for user in users, print user.name. Now when you rerun this and reload the app, you can see that you get all the names inside of this. So that's it for this video, and that's how you retrieve data from databases. And in the next video, we're going to learn how to use this data while making a real world application.